one of the key things here is about mutual benefit. It's about mutual interest and a shared understanding. The interest is usually more heavy on one side. The benefit is on one side of the equation. And trust comes when it is a shared benefit, when the scale of benefit is level.
The administrative structure is extremely hierarchical, it's extremely rule-bound. There is a certain sense of arrogance that I know best, I'm a technocrat and I can find the right solution. You'll find that there are clear mandates for village level, city level participation for planning. On paper, all these spaces exist. It's a matter of ensuring that people actually feel there is a need to interact and use these spaces.
The first two anecdotes that you talked about, it could be trust at one level, but is that also, I mean, there is an agency problem there. So is it, do you feel that it is that the officers don't trust parents, or is it that they don't want to give up control?
Nobody likes to give up control. I think that if you could, if officers were to think about this not so much in terms of giving up control as opposed to being able to, delegate and evolve and do your job better, we might see a different set of outcomes.
Yamini is absolutely right. But at the same time, we don't give enough agency to the people who are the end users, right? So, and I wouldn't blanket government totally from lower to the senior as people who are not interested in necessarily change. So, if you can speak with senior officials, and Yamini's again right about the fact that there is a trust deficit from senior to middle. But the senior officials can use technology and innovative technology, that's why we are here, to try and bring agency to the end user. Empowering that agency to the citizen is very important.
But there's also something about making information transparent, and I think that's where the role of the designer also sort of comes through, right? Is with the incentives thing, right? Would it be beneficial if the beneficiary didn't know that the field health worker was getting the incentives, right? Would that help trust? And then we need to think about what the ethics of doing something like that really is, right? Can you, so we try and design trust within systems, but then how far can you take that? Can you just design trust when actually it doesn't really exist?
I just want to go back to this whole trust and information thing, and I think that it's a bit of a paradox here because there is something called too much information, and also how much can you know anyway? There is a reason why we have experts in fields. There is a reason why we need to develop this trust relationship, because everyone cannot know everything anyway. The quality of information that is being passed around, it's very important. I mean, there's information and then there's information, How much of it is good, how much of it is bad. And so at the end of the day, you need that trust, irrespective of whether you have the information or not.
What's fascinating, and we rarely pay attention to this. I mean, something just as simple as what a panelist later on today will talk about. Sub was talking about pedestrian spaces on the side of roads or pedestrian crosses, or the public realm of the city, whether it be walk space for citizens or whether it be public recreation space in the city, is the interface between the state and the citizen. There's a staggering disconnect between, and I have all these statistics I can share in detail if someone wants them, but when something like, does the government, the government should work for the benefit of the people, and you've got upwards of 75% of the public, this is an India-specific statistic, you've got upwards of 75% of the public says, yes, that should be the function of government, and 24% of the public says it actually works that way. Where trust is reborn is at the micro level. There's been a huge breakdown in trust in both financial services and in the public realm. Let's say financial services first with the great economic collapse of 2008, and then in public space with the Occupy movements, which all over from whether it be New York or London or Madrid, all three cities, very different cities in their character, had the exact same problem, is that these protests were happening in public space And then suddenly, they found out they weren't actually public spaces. They were privately owned public space. So I'll finish my own contribution right now with one statement. And what I find is that trust never disappears entirely. This is a very controversial statement, but one I will completely stand behind. We have a certain amount of trust. It's like water. Water evaporates, water can be soaked into the earth. The water doesn't actually go away, it just changes form. We have a finite amount, a certain amount of trust. We will always allocate that trust in something. You lose trust in society, you'll place it in your family. You lose trust in your family, you'll place it in another structure. So what we have to think about is not necessarily creating trust. We have to think about how to gain people's confidence to place trust where it should be.